bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And we bring you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Jet Manuel. And in tonight's game plan, Aaron Black and Troy Reich join us to give their 2022 NBA All-Star starter picks.
And we'll catch up with UAAP courtside reporter Jessica Mendoza as we take down a trip down memory lane with her stories from the sidelines. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Another year for the world means another year for NBA fans, and we are once again approaching the NBA All-Star festivities, which only means it's time for us to talk about All-Star game starters once again. Joining us tonight to share their own picks for each conference are Aaron Black of the Morocco Bolts and Troy Reich of the Northport Batampierre. Gentlemen, welcome to the game virtually once more. I know we're all trying to stay safe, and I'm very, very happy to be streaming into your bedrooms right now. So let's start off first with Aaron. East All Stars, this is your lineup. Could you name your guys, your thesis for picking these guys, and then Troy is going to destroy you.
Okay. So at point guard, I'd have to start with James Harden. I think their record is they've been doing very well. Him and Durant carrying the load without Kyrie. Kyrie just got back. He's averaging 22.4 points. Oh, there you go. It's on the screen. And then DeMar DeRozan would be my shooting guard. If you think he shouldn't be on the starting five, then you probably didn't watch the last 2 weeks of him hitting buzzer beater after buzzer beater. And at the same time, he has been averaging 26, 5, and 5. And then my small forward would be Kevin Durant. I don't think I need to explain that at all. He leads the league in scoring. So, and then at the 4, Giannis. Also don't need to explain that one. Giannis might be top 2, top 3 player in the league, if not the best player in the league. Sorry, I'm a LeBron fan, so it's still LeBron for me. But yeah, Giannis. And then Embiid at center. I think the way Embiid has been playing this past month has really helped his case to start at center. Hopefully he stays healthy and he's able to finish out the season. So.
All right. So, Troy, your thoughts on it?
I mean, that's a good list right there. It's kind of hard for me to argue with that. I actually had all the same players except for I didn't have Harden in there. I was thinking maybe a little Zach LaVine. We can go all Bulls backcourt, or even Trae Young, just the way he's led that team. Harden started off a little slow for me, but I mean, how can you argue with Giannis? How can you argue with Kevin Durant? How can you argue with Joel Embiid? And also DeMar DeRozan, people didn't really necessarily expect him to play at the level he's playing at this year. There was even arguments whether he should have got that contract, but I mean, how he's played this year, there's no doubt he should be a starter.
All right, Jet, I'm going to make you an analyst here first, okay? Kasi, syempre, you're also an NBA All-Star writer. I completely forget that sometimes. Kasi,
you always forget it. You got to stop.
Yeah, I always do. But you look at this list, Harden, DeRozan, Durant, Antetokounmpo, Embiid. Any violent reactions here? Any guys that you think that he's looking past?
No, actually, when I saw the list initially, I was perfectly fine with it. I mean, Troy mentioned, I think one guy that I have to, maybe it's just a little bit of a bias, but I have to put in there is Trae Young. I think the way he's been playing, the way he's been leading his team, and the way the Hawks have been playing, he's always in that sneaky situation. You know what I mean? Like last year when we got to watch him and the way he elevated his team and the way they competed in the playoffs. I think the bigger market teams always have that bias. I mean, but I think coming into this, of course, those games you can't really argue. But I wanted to ask Aaron, when you make picks like this, do you base it off of stats? I mean, for the All-Star, do you base it off of fame, or do you base it off of just how good a player is in your eyes?
For me, actually, that's why I did not include Trae Young, because the Hawks haven't been playing very well. I mean, their standings says it all. And it was a toss-up between him and James Harden. And Brooklyn is number 2 in the East. So when I compared their stats, Trae Young is averaging 28 points a game. But, when it comes to assists and rebounds, they're not that far apart. So I went with somebody who's, right now has a better record. I think when I look at these guys, when I try to figure out who to pick, I don't only go by stats, because you could have, the best stats in the league, but your team might not be winning. So I kind of do a mix of, their team's record as well as their stats and how effective they are on the court.
You can't tell me you go for team record when you have two nets there and only one bull. Come on, Aaron. Really? I mean,
Are you gonna put Kevin Durant over I mean Zach LaVine over Kevin Durant? Is that what you're
no,
telling
no,
me?
no. I mean, like you're not gonna replace Zach LaVine and Kevin Durant. You're gonna replace him with James Harden, right? I
But
mean,
the
because
stats though, that's 9.7 assists a game
yeah,
and
no. I mean,
8.1
I
rebounds.
see that. But if you're gonna reward how teams play, aren't you gonna reward the Bulls? I mean,
One and
if you
two,
had to
you
pick
know,
like which
may
more
go.
right now, you're telling me that this individual stats are more important than the team record based on you picking Harden over a guy
Uh,
like Levine.
they're one
But
and two though.
they're one and two, yeah, but they're 3 games ahead.
It's not
The
like
Bulls
one
are
and
three
eight or
games
something like
ahead.
that.
That's a big
Oh
difference.
my.
Man,
Okay, well, I
man,
mean, you
trash,
could actually
trash, Aaron.
you can make a case for it, but I'm gonna stick with my five.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
all
stick with my
right. No,
five.
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. All
You
right,
know,
Jet,
both
Jet,
fight.
you
Yeah, I
lead
was
in the
gonna
next
ask.
one. You lead in the next
Maybe
one
we
because
can move
I'm very ready to
forward
fight.
to something else. Yeah, we could fight about, which is the West All-Star starters.
Oh, this should be fun.
Troy is
Oh.
gonna pick. I want to see this. So
Well,
Troy, yeah.
I'm glad we talked about team success factoring in as we move into my picks. Let's all just keep in mind I wasn't the one that said that. That was someone else who said that. So at number one, and the number one team in the West, we have Stephen Curry at point guard.
Yeah.
Number two, and also I had to make mine a little controversial because Aaron's list was so good that there wasn't going to be that much argument. So I have to throw a couple wild cards in there. So at the 2 spot, I have Ja Morant. That one's a little controversial, but this is an all-star game. If anyone saw his block the other night, that was like NBA Street. He literally went and grabbed the ball off the top of the backboard. I've never seen anything like that. So, the Grizzlies also playing very well. Have to give him some love. At the 3 spot, we have LeBron James. And then at the 4 spot, was getting a lot of grief about this pregame, but I got Draymond Green at the 4. Some of you guys might be thinking, Draymond Green, this guy's almost averaging a triple-double. He's like 8, 8, and 8. Leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. And once again, team success. He's making the Warriors go. He's almost the point guard on their team. He's the quarterback. He's the one who makes everything go. And obviously I'm biased because I'm a big Warriors fan. And then at center, Nikola Jokic. I mean, he's just continuing to play well, quietly, just being effective. I think most people would have him in their starting lineup.
No, I'm not mad at that.
Wow.
Aaron, your take
Okay.
on it first.
Are we really gonna leave Luka Doncic out this list? That's unbelievable.
That's actually
24, 8, and 9.
in my mind. Yeah. So why would you say Luka's supposed to be here?
I mean, they're not playing bad. They're playing okay. And they've had a lot of injuries, had a lot of COVID cases. Well, everybody has had a lot of COVID cases throughout the league, but they've been hit pretty hard with COVID. Doncic has been out a couple of games, but at the same time, he's really been carrying that whole franchise on his back. I think Kristaps is out again now. So, I think he has to be in there. I love the Draymond Green pick because you're right. He is a big part of the Warriors, but I think he could come off the bench. He could still be an all-star, but come off the bench. I think Luka should be starting.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, no, you're picking Luka though. You're taking on Ja Morant, or you're taking on Ja Morant.
Oh, then I'll take Ja out.
All right, Jet.
I would put
Mhm.
I think Luka, he's established himself as that dude, right? And I think Ja is there. But he's not quite at Luka's level yet, in my opinion.
All right, Jet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Troy. We have that starting 5, and yeah, you have to make it controversial because of Ja Morant, maybe, or a few names. But who was the one guy that you had a tough time like juggling or switching in and out of that starting 5 in your list?
I swear, if anyone leaves this call right now to pick up a delivery,
I've seen that episode.
I
It's
swear it might.
It's
be an
actually
issue.
for me. It's
It's
actually
for
for me,
you.
so you can. We right? No, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
We'll leave that.
Let's go ahead. Answer that first.
No. We're good. But the thing. Oh, answering Jet's question. Apologize.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
good.
ask
It's
Jet's
actually
question, sorry.
it's just saying outside. We don't need anyone to actually answer it. But the people to keep out that was tough for me. I mean, Luka is definitely one of those guys. Paul George is actually having a very nice season. Not too many people are talking about him. Rudy Gobert as well. I would say those were the main 3 that kind of came to mind for me. Luka's a good point. it's kind of tough. I feel like he's been so good, our expectations were actually like raised for him. At one point, I know he was the betting favorite to win the MVP.
Yes.
So now, he's not so much in that race really to win the MVP. It's almost like we're like, forget Luka, which to Aaron's point just shows how good he actually is.
No, I agree. I'm with you there. I have a feeling that it's underwhelming season for Luka. Not only that, they actually are in fifth right now. They don't even have a home spot for playoffs at the moment. And at the same time, you're right. I think honestly, I would have Gobert there over Green, but then that's only if you put Jokic as a 4, which honestly he can play anything. So, that's gonna be difficult. I'm not gonna be too violent about it because we don't have a lot of time. But I can. But let's not go there for the meantime. Again, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the show. Troy, I gave you permission to now step out of the camera to go pick up your air fryer or whatever that is that you got.
Perfect.
And Aaron, thank you very much. Regards to your family. Hopefully they're all healthy. Regards to both your families, and hopefully we all stay healthy and we all see each other in Araneta Coliseum again sooner rather than later. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, guys.
All right. So after the break, we'll find out what it takes to be a UAAP courtside reporter from one of the OG faces from the sidelines, Jessica Mendoza. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Takes to be Paulo Del Rosario. As the search for the new batch of UAAP courtside reporters continues, let's have another throwback session with another OG from the sidelines joining us tonight to talk about her experience as a courtside reporter during UAAP season 72 and 73, all the way from Washington, D.C. Jessica Mendoza, welcome to The Game.
Hi! Grabe naman yung throwback.
Well, Jessica, I'm sorry we didn't get the chance to talk before the show, pero I was looking at some of the old photos and I realized that when you were working, ang bata pala ng dad ko.
Actually.
But first of all, for those who are very curious, where are you right now? What are you doing? Because it's been a while since we heard from you here in the Philippines.
Yeah. So I'm in Washington, D.C., like you said. I'm working as a reporter and podcast producer at a news outlet called the Christian Science Monitor. They're based in Boston, but I've worked for them. I started in Boston and then I moved to LA. And then I came here in Washington, D.C., originally to report on politics. And then I transferred to sort of the podcast department a couple of years ago before the pandemic.
That's great to hear, Jessica. And I mean, some of us have been following you and everything that you've been doing since you left UAP and even the Philippines. But talking about throwback, maybe you can let us know what led to you taking a chance and even auditioning as a courtside reporter back then.
So it tagal na, no? 10 years more. And so I was at the time I was doing radio already. I'd started at 89.9 at Magic, and Boom Gonzalez worked there, and he was very encouraging and said, we're having auditions this year for courtside reporter. I know you're a senior at Ateneo. You should give it a go. Sabi ko, I don't know anything about basketball. I don't know anything about sports. Sabi niya, aralin mo. And so I figured, what's wrong with taking a chance? Just go ahead and give it a go. And so, I learned the names of the players, I learned the names of the coach, and then I auditioned. And it went well, thankfully. I was so grateful to the team and syempre the production team as well, because they gave me a chance and said that if I was willing to learn and I was willing to try, that they would give me the chance to cover, my team, my school. So,
alam mo, Jessica, you being a courtside reporter coincided with the darkest parts of LaSalle basketball history, considering that you were part of that 5-peat run ng Ateneo. You said that you didn't know much about basketball. You come into a team that was on the brink of history. How was that like, yung ride na yun?
It was really, really exciting and really, really terrifying. You could tell. I mean, I was coming in. The Ateneo had already won championship, so I knew I was coming into a very strong team, and a lot of eyes were going to be there. And I wanted to make sure that I was giving the team its due. I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't want to come off as completely ignorant. But thankfully, everybody was so supportive. The coaching staff, especially, were always there to answer my questions. I would go to practices, and they would always make sure that they would make themselves available, and the players were as well. And syempre, the production team, all the other courtside reporters. I was, a lot of the other reporters knew what they were doing, and I took advice also from the other hosts, and it was such a collaborative experience, and dami kong natutunan from everybody around me.
That's great to hear. I was actually gonna ask you, if you could name maybe the best part of being a courtside reporter, and maybe even the hardest part as you were adjusting through that. And I didn't even know that you didn't know basketball. It didn't seem like it.
Thank you. Fake it till you make it, nga, diba? So the best part, I'm sure you've asked a lot of other courtside reporters this, and it's really, really hard to pinpoint just one thing. I think, you're so young, you're so excited to get that sort of opportunity. And I think even just trying to find one moment or one single thing is kind of impossible. I loved so much about it. I learned so much, and I gained so much confidence. You're put in front of that kind of crowd. You're expected to come out and do your reporting live and have something to say. And I think the best part of it is probably kind of related to the challenges, most challenging part of it too, because all that pressure, you come out of that much more confident and feeling really strong about yourself. But at the same time, in the moment, pressure talaga.
Yeah.
It can be really, really scary. And, not everybody's always, the feedback you get isn't always going to be positive, and that's okay. But that's hard when you're that young and you're putting yourself out there. You're putting your face, your efforts out into the world in that way. And I'm sure you guys can understand that as well. And I mean, honestly,
I can relate to that. Yeah. I mean, like, si Jet kasi iba yung approach niya kasi he was a player eh.
Yun nga.
Iba talaga yung pressure that he had to deal
Ibang
with.
pressure. And
pero
honestly, like to be a woman also, to be a young woman in that space. I mean, the expectation is our courtside reporters are going to be women. Syempre, we had Job De Leon that year, and they're always going to be men, and that's great. But I think it's a different kind of pressure. You're expected to not just perform well, but you're expected to look a certain way also, and that's
Yeah.
hard to sometimes parang process when you're that young.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of expectations on women, in particular, especially when they work in sports. And kudos for everyone who finds a way to make everything work and make everything come into place, because it is difficult for them. And you mentioned it a while ago, helping your confidence. And ngayon, you work in the States, working around news, working around the podcast production. You said that you were actually there to cover politics at a certain point. What does being a CSR fit into your life and where you are right now? When you look back at it, how did it help you get to where you are?
It was one of my first jobs. So as I mentioned, I had already been working in radio, but I was, I'd probably been wala pang 1 year sa Magic when I started courtside, and I was still in college. And I think that really helped me figure out which direction I wanted to take my career. I knew at the time, I liked TV. I wanted to stay in TV. I wanted to stay in radio. I enjoyed broadcast. Oh, there's your dad. But yeah, I think that was a good start for me, and getting to know those people and really building up this ability to think on your feet. I don't know how many resumes I've put that in. Just being able to just at the snap of a finger, be able to come up with a good report, to know to develop instincts, to know who to ask the right questions from, and how to help to feel comfortable and to make other people feel comfortable with the questions that you need to ask them for you to be able to do your job. That's been so helpful to me. Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, I think my dad is watching this and feeling very old at the moment.
Okay.
All right, but for those who want a taste of that experience of being a courtside reporter, now is your chance to audition as the next UAAP courtside reporter. If you are 18 to 23 years old, currently enrolled in a UAAP school, and fluent in both English and Tagalog, so siguro back then, I couldn't audition. Submit your CV and a 90-second headshot with a brief introduction and why you want to be a courtside reporter to the email on your screens on or before February 6, 2022. Once again, Jessica, thank you very much for joining us. Jet, alam ko this is a dream come true for you to interview si Jessica. Oo. Tama
OG
ba?
reporters, of course. Those are the people who we look up to before. So thank you, Jessica, for inspiring us. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you. Thanks for having me.
And the game returns after these messages. Keep it here.
Welcome back to the game. I'm Paulo De Rosario. The MVP group of companies, together with its partners, are in unity of spreading joy and hope this holiday season, and you can be a part of this remarkable movement. This time, responders of the National Center for Mental Health received a holiday surprise. Let's watch this.
napakahirap po nung kanilang mga pinagdaanan nung pandemic, no? Naka-experience po kami ng napakaraming tawag, no? 300 to 400% increase over the past months ng pandemic na ito. Karamihan po ng mga kaso ay mga taong nakararanas ng sintomas ng depression, anxiety, at takot, lalong-lalo na sa COVID-19.
Yung mental health, no, it's very important to keep it healthy. Saludong-saludo kami sa mga responders natin dito sa National Mental Health Center kasi sila po yung nasa front lines ng kakaibang pandemic rin ito sa mental health issues.
Tuloy pa rin ang Pasko ng Pinoy kahit ano pa mang pasakit.
Ngayong Pasko, kasama namin ang MVP Group sa Tuloy pa rin ang Pasko movements. Pinili namin ang National Center for Mental Health, lalo na po ang ating mga crisis hotline responders, mga personnel po dito.
Pilipino.
Itong spirit of bayanihan, ito po ang spirit ng Christmas para sa atin. At naniniwala tayo na sa pagtutulungan natin ganito, makakabangon muli tayong lahat.
Napakasaya po ng feeling na mabigyan ng tulong, ayuda ang aming mga frontliners, ang aming mga responders dito sa National Center for Mental Health. Isa po itong napakagandang aginaldo para sa aming lahat dito na nagtatrabaho po sa NCMH.
Para po sa atin, bayanihan itong lahat, tuloy pa rin ang Pasko at maraming salamat sa inyo.
Dito sa NCMH, tuloy pa rin ang Pasko. Maligayang bayanihan Pilipino.
Tuloy pa rin ang Pasko ng Pinoy kahit ano pa mapasakit sa
Let's do our part and spread the Christmas cheer to our fellow kababayans. You may send your donations to the accounts flashed on your screen or contact us on the following details. Tara na, sa isang maligayang bayanihan Pilipino.
Pasko, maligayang bayanihan Pilipino.
Tuloy pa rin ang Pasko ng Pinoy kahit ano pa mang pasakit sa atin bumalaki. Pag-ibig sa ating puso ay mamamalagi na para bang ngiti dito sa ating labi.
On to the world of MMA, we now look ahead to more exciting action this Friday as our very own Jeremy Miyado and Robin Catalan are looking to impress in one championship. Heavy hitters, let's watch this.
Someone is going to sleep. A card stacked with knockout power. Fight fans are in for a night to remember. One Heavy Hitters, January 14, Friday, 8:30 p.m. on One Sports.
I think mauna si Jet dito eh. Jet, nandiyan ka ba?
Yeah, what's up?
Ayun. Oh, sige. Mag-extra ka na pare.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jet Manuel.
Catch us weeknights here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. Happy anniversary to our show. That's right. It's our first anniversary. Hopefully next year we can celebrate it with everyone that we all love. Happy anniversary to everyone. I'm Paul Rosario. This has been The Game.